So probability is the likelihood of an event occurring. And we want to know the probability involving the spinner. And when I have P and then in parentheses, that reads the probability of landing on a 5. And so probability can be written as a fraction or a percent. And right now we're going to focus on a fraction. And you follow the flow map that should be written down. And you may also write this example down on your notes. So you're going to find the number of favorable outcomes. So my favorable outcome is identified in the parentheses here, which is landing on a 5. I look at the spinner and I only see 1 5, so I'm going to put a 1. The possibility of find the number of possible outcomes, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 possible outcomes. And we're going to write it as a fraction. Favorable over possible, 1 out of 6, and simplified, and that's as simplified as we get. So let's try that again. So we want to know the probability of landing on an odd number. So I look at my spinner, I look at all the odd numbers. So I see 1, 2, 3. There's 3 odd numbers. There are 6 total possible outcomes that I could land on. And I gotta write it as a fraction, according to step 3. And then I have to simplify. These can both be divided by 3 to get me 1 over 2. So probability of landing on an odd number is 1/2. And just a snippet for future, or 50%. So let's do the next one. Probability of landing on a letter. So there's 2 letters, X and Z. And there are 6 possible outcomes. We write it as a fraction, and then we simplify. These are both even, so I can divide by 2 to get 1/3. So the probability of landing on a letter is 1/3, or 33%. Don't worry about the percents as much right now. Probability of landing on a vowel. Well, I don't see any vowels, so it's 0. And there's 6 possible outcomes. We write it as a fraction. And 0 divided by anything is 0. So probability of landing on a vowel is 0. That cannot happen. Okay? Last one. Landing on 2 and Z. Can I land on both 2 and Z at the same time? No, so 0. And there's 6 possible outcomes. Write it as a fraction, and then simplify. So probability of landing on 2 and Z is 0. Now let's say I change the and to an or. So probability of landing on a 2 or Z, well, I can do that. There's 2 ways I can land on a 2, or I can land on a Z. There's 6 possible outcomes. Write it as a fraction, and I simplify. The probability of landing on a 2 or a Z is 1/3. If it had the and, it would be 0. So now we have a bag of marbles, and we're only going to pick one out at a time, and that's really important. So I'm only picking out 1 marble at a time. So I want to know the probability of picking a blue. So the probability of picking a blue, well, there's 2 blue marbles. Outcomes. I write it as a fraction. And I need to simplify. They're both even numbers, so I can divide both by 2. So the probability of picking a blue is 1/5. Now the probability of picking a red.
Well, there's 0 red. There's 10 possible outcomes. I write it as a fraction, and I simplify.
The probability of picking a red is 0, or 0%. The probability of picking a blue or yellow.
So I can pick either blue or yellow. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 marbles I can draw. That will be either blue or yellow. Out of 10, I write it as a fraction, and that's as simplified as I get.
The probability of picking a blue or yellow is 70%, or 70%. Blue and yellow, so when I reach into this bag, can I pull out one marble that is blue and yellow? No. So probability of picking a blue or yellow is 0%. Probability of picking a blue, yellow, or green. So I put my hand in the bag, I pull out a marble. Can it be blue, yellow, or green? Yes. All 10 marbles can either be that. And
there's 10 marbles as a fraction. I simplify that down to 1.
So the probability of picking a blue, yellow, or green is 1. It's 100% likely. It's certain to happen. It's guaranteed. Now last one, probability of picking a blue, yellow, and green. So when I reach into that bag and pull out one marble, will I have a marble that is blue, yellow, and green? Nope. So probability of picking a blue, yellow, and green marble is 0. That is not going to happen.